I've been using my Godox F600Bi for the last 10 weeks, so I think it's time for the review. It is definitely a product that is going to my YouTube playlist called Products I'm Happy About. Sure, I have some complaints, but for the price, it is a really good choice. As always, I bought it with my own money, so the opinions in the video are 100% mine. And as always, affiliate links are in the description below. If you use them, you help the channel budget for more reviews like that. The pros. First, the power. It delivers 19,000 lux of a soft light. So it beats Aputure 600D in regards of the light output in soft light department. If it has attached the secondary diffusion, there is one built in already as weather protection, it generates around 12,000 lux, so more than double Aputure 600D creates with LiDAR 150 with 2 stops diffusion, and Aputure outputs around 5,000 lux. This means this light is a great choice to combat the windows in the shot when you also need soft light that wraps around, which I successfully done. I have also successfully combated the sun in the outdoor scenarios with this light too. And it was actually a full blast summer sun, but I live in Poland at around 53rd degree of latitude in the northern hemisphere, so keep this in mind. Sun power might be stronger where you live. In both scenarios, the light can combat 6 stops of ND while shooting S-Log3, so ISO 800, f2.8 and 25 frames per second with 180-degree shutter angle. It is also a bicolor light. Of course, with different color temperatures than 5600 Kelvin, you have a bit lower output, but compared to Aputure 600X, which is bicolor, or GVM 650B Pro, Godox is still much stronger light. And 600D cannot even dream about different color temps while being more expensive with comparable area softbox. Even though the LiDAR 150 has about 20% bigger area, F600Bi seems to create a softer look. This is probably because the COB has some sourciness to it, even through a dense diffusion. F600Bi is big, but is also very thin. With a softbox and a spigot, it is less than 30 centimeters thick. If you account for big light stand legs, like this one, the depth increases to around 60 centimeters. But this is still just 40% of Aputure 600D with LiDAR 150 and half of 600D plus LiDAR 2 or 3. So, despite the big area, you can actually put this light into really tight spaces. Also, if you compare its price to 600 watt COB plus decent booklight setup, F600Bi is half of the price for the same results, and it is still more compact. Other any cons? Yes. F600Bi itself gives color temperatures close to what you set, but it is said that it gives some magenta contamination to the light, which is not that easy to fix since this light does not have green magenta correction, and it's not that easy to put 4x4 gel on it, as you can see. I do not own a spectrometer, so I cannot confirm this, but Andrew from Gaffer & Gear made the measurements, and it's not very accurate in terms of green magenta shift, but it's also not that bad. And LED lights tend to shift to green over time, so having a magenta shift at the beginning might be actually a good thing. For YouTube or small productions, I doubt this would make any difference unless you mix it with other sources that have very pronounced green cast. If your other sources have green magenta correction, then it's not a problem at all. I guess the only way to fix this magenta issue is to set the correction in the camera or do it in post-production. But this might be problematic if you also use different sources of light for the same shoot and they don't have green magenta shift. Generally, panels with the correction or which are more accurate in terms of green magenta tint are priced at least 4K USD or more, so this is the choice you have to make. F600Bi definitely looks more magenta than Aputure 600D with Light-Dome 150 or Light-Dome 3. You can see magenta tint on my skin and on the gray wall behind me. But the question is, which one looks more natural? For me, my skin looks more natural with the F600Bi straight from the Sony camera. No color corrections here. Small con might also be the loudness of the ballast. It is below 35 decibels, but the sound has kinda high pitch to it. So it seems louder for the human ear than 600D or GVM 650B Pro ballasts, which are close to 35 decibels, but their noise has much lower pitch. And this is how human ears work. Frequencies between 1 to 5 kHz are more audible to people. So I've been running the ballast of 600Bi for an hour to see if it changes over time, but actually the measurement is always the same. And it is something around 34 to 35 decibels. Now I'm talking, so it is higher reading, and the sound meter is exactly 1 meter from the ballast, as always. Maybe let's hear the noise. I wouldn't talk, and let's hear the noise. There are some other devices close by, like 2 meters behind me, but they shouldn't contaminate the sound and the readings of the meter. And all other lights are turned off. I just got a headlight on my head, so there are no other lighting devices and stuff like that in that room. So let's hear it. It's 1 meter away. And now it's like half meter away. And this is exactly close to, I think, exhaust, although I'm not sure where the exhaust is. So I think you can hear the noise and you can judge yourself, but I recorded with this like 30 videos probably already, and the sound of the ballast was never an issue actually. There is no smart setting for the fan, so it spins the same way all the time. This is good and bad at the same time. So when I use it in the studio at 12%, it is as loud as at 100%. So it is kinda a con. But since it's always the same speed, it has the same noise, so it is really easy to remove in post. Also, the head cable is 6 meters long. Some people report they have 8 meters included, so you can move the ballast far away from the mic, unless you boom the light overhead. There is also an extra option to have the head cable 11 millimeters long with additional 5 meter DC cable. But I mount my ballast behind the panel, so the panel itself blocks some noise. Another con is the quality of the included egg crate is kinda flimsy and shallow. It's kinda lame. Seems like its beam angle is around 80 degrees and you usually expect 40 to 50 degrees. So included egg crate is kinda crappy in terms of cutting the light. That's why I ordered a custom one and it is much better. This one has 40-degree angle and you can really limit the light spread with it. The con of this one is the price, around $350 with the shipping. But I'd say it is essential to buy it for this light. Looks like Godox F600Bi produces more uniform light compared to LiDAR 150, which is bigger. F600Bi is also more powerful, even though both lights are 600 watt LED fixtures. The difference is not very visible in the test shot, but in reality it is much brighter than 600D and LiDAR 150. For F600Bi, custom grid gives much more control over the shape of the light versus the original grid, but after the experiment I know when to use each of them. Light is cut much more abruptly with the custom one. Seems that the angle of the original grid is around 80 degrees, while the custom one seems to be actually, as promised, around 40 degrees. The shapes of F600Bi with custom grid versus Aputure 600D with LiDAR 150 and a grid are also quite different. F600Bi creates almost perfect cone, while LiDAR 150 is some kind of the barrel shape. Especially close to the light, shape is much more narrow and uniform for F600Bi. But Godox panel seems to illuminate much more of the background because it is much more powerful than 600D with LiDAR 150. And actually, it seems that LiDAR 3 with a grid creates a wider beam than F600Bi with a custom grid. I think it's the most surprising result. Then the original grid for Godox F600Bi creates a much wider beam than LiDAR 150 with its grid. Also, my diffusion looks like it is 1 centimeter too small, so it is really hard to attach it evenly. Usually a diagonal crease is created, which disrupts the light a bit, so I have to reattach it to get rid of the crease. The softbox is also not that easy to attach if you are a one-man band, but if you use it as a permanent setup, there is no need to take it off. And actually I recommend to use it anyway, even without the diffusion, because it strengthens the output a bit. If you're using on sets, putting the softbox might be a bit annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. Oh, and the light itself is IP65 rated, which is a pro, but the ballast is not. So you have to either get a longer head cable or somehow protect the ballast outside against the elements with an umbrella or a plastic tent. And the ballast mount is not included with the light, so you have to buy it separately. It costs around $15 and another $15 for the Superclamp. I would like to have it included even if I have to pay an additional $30. I had to search for the model and then order it separately and wait. Waste of time. Godox, next time please include the mount, since it is an essential part of the kit. Based on the cons regarding the quality of the egg crate and diffusion, it's hard to say it is the premium product as Godox claims. It is part of their premium Knowled series. But the quality of the light itself, LED matte and frame, is really good. And for $1,700 it offers excellent quality to price ratio. Not sure it's a con, but I have to state it. COB light like Aputure 600D is much more versatile than a panel like F600Bi. You can use it with a reflector or Fresnel to concentrate the beam. Sure, it is then a very hard source of light, but it's very powerful at the same time, like hundreds of thousands of lux. You can mimic the sun or use it as a spot reflector on a stage to highlight your talent. You can also mount a spotlight on the COB light to create patterns, different beams of lights, etc. There are also other special modifiers for COBs like space lights, lanterns, snoods, barn doors, etc. So LED panel like the F600Bi is not as versatile as COB LED, but in terms of the soft light which wraps around your talent, is actually the best solution. You can easily mount this panel overhead because it is kinda light, although a substantial stand is recommended. This light is also quite easy to move on set. You can easily get through doors even with a light stand. It is not really possible with COB light just with a 90 cm softbox, not to mention 150 cm one. Generally, this seems to be the best light I've ever bought, but it might be because it checks all the boxes I wanted from the light. So it is big, soft light, which is easy to set up, fits in the tight places, and it's kinda easy to transport. It collapses to really small footprint. It is maybe not very fast to set up, but you can do it in less than 10 minutes, so it is not that bad. And if you do not need 4x4 light, Godox also has cheaper versions, 2x2 and 4x2, but they are less powerful than this one. I do not find any deal breakers, so I highly recommend this light if you want the softest light possible, which offers really high output at the same time. I haven't found anything with a better price to output ratio, although I have ordered another panel which might be a bit more powerful, but since it's smaller, it won't give as soft light as this one. So stay tuned. That's it, and cheers mate!